The federal government should have nothing to do with this issue. And it's being solved at a state level, and people are very happy about it.
So no regrets?
No regrets, no. I wouldn't have regrets. Again, I did something that most people felt undoable. They didn't want it in the federal government. It shouldn't be in the halls of the federal government. It should be in the state governments. And I was able to bring it back to the state governments, and now the people are voting.
I can't say for sure whether Donald Trump has regrets about killing Roe v. Wade. I'd assume that he doesn't. He utterly despises women, but I do know that he is scared about the political implications of this topic. And you know it every time he says one of the dumbest, most obviously false things that we've ever heard in politics, which is everybody wanted it to go back to the states. Everybody for 50 years was saying, let's just kill Roe v. Wade. You remember, Francesca, when all of those abortion rights activists were like, kill Roe v. Wade. Kill Roe v. Wade. It's so stupid, but it's what passes for cover from him. He knows that he's facing a lot of pressure, so he tries to craft from nothing this world in which he did what everyone wants, but it's just not true. By the way, it's wildly unpopular among Democrats. You probably know that. You might suspect that it's wildly unpopular among independents. It's also unpopular amongst Republicans. When you poll women, nearly 3 in 4 oppose leaving it up to the states. And it depends on what group, but 86% of Democratic women don't like that. 53% of Republican women don't want it left up to the states. That's his party. And those are Republican women who still identify as Republicans 8 years into Donald Trump. So it's a certain sort of Republican woman, and even they don't like what he did, Francesca.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
And so I think he suspects it's gonna hurt him in the election, and I sure as hell hope that it does.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing of trying to back away from your own mess. They did it with Project 2025, and now obviously in obliterating Roe v. Wade, which had nothing to do with all of the number of months and the this and that and this. No, it had to do with the right to privacy that the Supreme Court agreed was protected under the Constitution for all women to have the right to decide by themselves or with their families how and when and if to ever bear children. So, and to say nothing of the fact that it is leading to people dying or nearly dying, being unable to have children in the future because their ectopic pregnancies are bursting and destroying their fallopian tubes and their ovaries. Just fun things like that. Obstetric nightmares are playing out in red states and in purple states across this country. And so people are feeling it in their own communities, in their own families. You cannot cover this up. This is the issue about freedom. Forget books. Nobody reads. Everybody wants the right to bodily autonomy, to be able to have control, to be able to be safe, to have health care.
Yeah.
So my
100%.
God, you know what, John? Tonight, when we hear Kamala Harris speak, I want to hear specifics. How are we going to protect Roe? How are we going to restore Roe v. Wade and expand it? Codify the right to an abortion, say the word abortion. I want to hear her say abortion tonight.
Yes, I want a pledge and I also want a path. I want to know how she's going to do it. I want to know how she's going to get people into line. And I want her to make very clear that people who do not prioritize this, as the American people demand, will face political ramifications. You should fear losing your position in Congress for more than just advocating for the end of genocide, okay? Yes. And I think that opposing the codification of these rules would be a great thing to see that in. I wanna just mention 2 things that I think Donald Trump should be really worried about, okay? So the first is this: when you ask suburban women who he thinks only care about every black and brown person being gunned down and never getting near their front door, what the most important issue for them, these are swing state suburban women, abortion is far and away the #1 issue, 39%. Immigration is second at 16. It's not even half as common as an answer. The economy is 7. So abortion is definitely driving thoughts. And also, this is way more anecdotal, but I saw at one point a trending Google search was, can your husband see how you voted? So now that's scary, definitely, but it implies that there's a lot of people who would really like to vote against these monsters. And I want to just end this segment by giving you a little bit of, like, the DNC has been, I think this time around, by far the DNC ever that has talked about abortion the most and the most openly. And you had Oprah talking about control over this body and all of that. Well, I want to go to Hadley Duvall, who is one of those who have experienced terrible things in this area and is advocating for no one else too. Let's go to that.
I was raped by my stepfather after years of sexual abuse. At age 12, I took my first pregnancy test, and it was positive. That was the first time I was ever told, you have options. I can't imagine not having a choice. But today, that's the reality for many women and girls across the country because of Donald Trump's abortion bans. He calls it a beautiful thing. What is so beautiful about a child having to carry her parents' child?
Yeah, I'm amazed that she was able to give that speech after all that she's been through and knowing that there are other people who are experiencing that. And then when you think about it on the other side, JD Vance thinks she should have been forced at 12 to bear that child. Again, he does not support any exceptions, and he is not alone. And in some of the states, there are no exceptions. And in many of the states where there are exceptions, they're not worth a damn, and you won't be able to actually qualify under them. So there are people who would hear what she went through and say, oh, God works in mysterious ways. You should have been forced to have your parents' kid at 12. I don't think it's a winning strategy, and I hope that's not the America we wake up to in November 6th. What do you think?
I just have so much love and solidarity for Hadley, for speaking out, for saying something, for sharing that story. And honestly, the best shots during that speech were of the audience, because many women were crying during it, many of them, because there are many survivors in this country and many people who, if not the same story as Hadley, have similar stories. And so, she's a perfect messenger. Put her up there, have her confront, these ghouls on the right that insist that no, the Kristi Noems were like, no, why should one tragedy warrant another tragedy? Like, are you kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? And it's happening. 13-year-old rape victims are now having, in Mississippi, a 7th grader gave birth to her rapist child. That is currently what is happening under Republican laws. So, I mean, can we say it a million times over again? This is just, yeah.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And the fact that she could say a sentence like that and imply that the second tragedy would be the possibility of having an abortion. So the tragedy isn't bearing at 12 a child and having that is now your life. Whatever you thought your life was gonna be, it wasn't, because a monster raped you, so you don't get to have a life anymore because I'm siding with the monster here.
Yep.
Is absolute madness. And that these people don't just exist, but that they hold political power is insane.
But then we're the groomers, John. We're the groomers.
Yeah, we're the weird ones with views about kids and sex, definitely. Utterly bizarre. Okay, we have about a minute left, I think. Ashley, we're not gonna fit in that last subject, but we will get to it in the aftermath. I'm gonna read a couple of comments. As I said, John Fugelsang is supposed to be joining us for the aftermath, so we're hoping to set that up. Definitely look forward to that. Let's see, I wanna thank Granny Dragon, 46 months with us on Twitch. Thank you, Granny Dragon. Miss Chivos subscribed on Twitch. MK Varana's been here for 45 months. Thank you. Star Leone says, John has the alliteration virus from Miss Crockett. Did I alliterate at some point? I don't remember doing that, actually. I am a big fan of her, and she's probably incepted me. Dee Reggae has been here for 36 months, 3 full years. Thank you so much for that. Okay, let's see. Rye, the therapy dragon, says, assuming RFK drops out to endorse Trump is accurate, this basically confirms that his original role was to take just enough votes from Biden to tilt the election for Trump. I don't know. We'll never know what was in his mind other than worms, but it definitely will. If he does that, then that will be what he wants the effect to be. Whether he initially did Now, when it matters most, that will be the effect that he has. And why wouldn't he? Politically, they're far better affiliated. Despite the fact that Donald Trump has spent, months telling us that he's a rabid lefty or whatever, it clearly isn't the case. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.